This weekend we'll see the Antrim champions crowned at both senior and intermediate level, with Dunloy and Rossa competing for senior honours at Corrigan Park, Belfast on Sunday, while Creggan and Carry are about to get underway at time of recording in the intermediate final. As the intermediate game is almost ready to start, there's not much else to say, but good luck to both teams, and we'll hopefully get some coverage for whoever wins during their provincial campaign. On to Sunday's game, and it looks like an intriguing battle between a Dunloy side who are aiming for their fourth county title in 5 years and a Rossa side looking for their first title since 2004. We already covered the group stage in a previous video, but it's worth remembering that both of these teams topped their respective groups, so there can't be too many arguments against them being worthy finalists. On semi-final Sunday, they both went to Dunsilly for a double header, with Rossa first up against Cuchullains. And what turned out to be a match for the ages. Rossa won the game, lost the game, and then won it again, and that's just what happened in the last 5 minutes. Late on, it looked like Rossa were on their way to a first final since that 2004 triumph, but Cuchullains weren't ready to throw the towel in, and after 2 goals and 2 points, it looked like Rossa had been undone late on again, but they found something within themselves to get up and go after it again. Jared Walsh reduced the gap to 2, and then remarkably Dara Rocks popped up deep in injury time to score the goal that won the game for the Belfast side. It was a classic finish that would have graced any championship in any county across Ireland. Following that was always going to be difficult, and Dunloy found themselves in an awkward position where it was going to be difficult to impress. They went into the match against St John's as hot favourites, having already defeated them in the group stages, and their opponents being reduced to 14 men only increased the feeling that Dunloy would win. In the end, they did win, of course, but in the aftermath, St John's probably earned as many plaudits due to a gutsy performance in horrid conditions. Dunloy's win wasn't vintage, but in those conditions it was never going to be, and they did what champions do by putting in a professional performance to get themselves over the line. With the two sides in great forms, and so little between them, I decided to open the floor to some of the Saffron Sports followers over the various social medias to see what they think will happen. The response wasn't great, as maybe we haven't built up a big enough platform yet, but we did get 4 followers to put their necks on the line by going public with their predictions, so a massive thank you to them. First up was Paul Mack, who is siding with his own. Paul said, "As a Dunloy man, I'll clearly be backing my own side, but I think it'll be a very close game. Rossa have been improving year after year and have built a really good side. They maybe shocked some folk last year beating Cuchullains, but have proved this year that it was not a fluke. Dunloy have been building towards a final and are peaking at a good time of the season for a final. As I said before, it will be tight, but I think we'll be on the right side of a 4-point win." Next up, we had Rossa man Richard Gowdy, who said, "Rossa to win the senior hurling final. They have learned lessons from last year's semi-final defeat, which seems to have spurred them on. The never say die attitude shown in the semi-final win versus Cuchullains shows that they have learned from last year, and I feel the belief Colley has instilled in them will get them over the line. O'Donovan Rossa Abu." We then had a neutral viewpoint in Declan Diamond. Declan said, "The senior final will be tight, but I reckon Dunloy before. They just have that experience of winning, and whilst they have been impressed by Rossa, it may be a year too early for them. Can see them hanging in, but Dunloy ultimately pulling away in the last quarter." Our final predictor asked to be kept anonymous, but they were unable to separate the sides. 220 to 123 on Sunday. A good tight game in store. That game at that pitch is always going down to the wire. So from the 4 predictions, we have 2 for Dunloy, 1 for Rossa and 1 for a draw. But while I'm here, I may as well make a prediction myself. Right from the beginning, I thought Dunloy would win it again. I thought it would be Cuchullains that would run them closest, but Rossa have already upset that prediction. For me, Dunloy are an excellent side, and winning can be a habit, and they've made it a habit over the last few years, and I do think they'll be slight favourites going into the game. That said, there are a few factors that I think might help Rossa. The game being in Belfast is a big one, as social media has been full all week of Belfast businesses and people who are maybe usually more interested in football throwing their lot behind Rossa. With Corrigan set to be very close to sold out, if not sold out, it looks likely that Rossa will have the bulk of that support behind them. I also think there are some similarities to 1990, when a young Dunloy upset Rossa. The roles are reversed this time, but fate might see a repeat when the young and unfancied Dunloy beat the more established team in Rossa, who had been county champions 2 years previous. However, I'm a firm believer that in order to win the title, you sometimes have to lose one. And although Rossa went so close to reaching the final last year, this is their first time in the main event since 2004, and Dunloy's experience might just get them over the line. That said, if a City team are going to win back the title for just the second time since 1988, then beating Lochgale, Cuchullains and Dunloy on their way is the perfect way to do it.